Welcome to the Sisters with Swords podcast, where we explore God's Word and discover His design for women as we wield our weapons of warfare on the battlefield of everyday life. We're your hosts, Holly Knight and Janie Burkett. Hey there, sisters, and welcome to another episode of Sisters with Swords. We have a doozy of an interview for you today. Janie, who are we sitting down and chatting with?
An actual celebrity.
An actual one.
An actual icon.
An actual icon.
The one and only, cannot be duplicated, often imitated. I don't know. Now it sounds like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, but it's not that. It is Miss America 2007, Lauren Nelson.
Lauren Nelson Faram, who was Miss America 2007, the year you competed. You guys competed at Miss America together. She was Miss Oklahoma. You were Miss Colorado, obviously. And, you know, we had to get a actual beauty pageant queen on the pod today because we're talking about charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And we got a Miss America. Ladies.
Yes. If you know a Miss America, you got to put her
That's
on.
right. Not everyone knows a Miss America, but Janie does. And Janie, you're always the Miss America of our hearts.
Right.
I do want to say that.
You know, and in my own mind.
Right.
That one time.
And in our mother's mind,
right.
For sure. Our mom still thinks you're Miss America.
You know, at least somebody does.
Right. And but Lauren is so amazing. She's got such an incredible testimony. So we sit down, we chat, and it's a lot of just you and Lauren sharing stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so fun. And that is one of the things that, you know, I don't know, people, anytime they hear that I was in pageants, you know, they always want to know, you know, what is it like with the other girls or the competitors or what have you?
Right. Is it catty? Do you guys hate each other? Is there backbiting? Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, some of like the best friends I know and best people I know, and Lauren, of course, is a great example of this, were people I knew in pageants. In fact, that's one of the things that I loved the most about it, and that made me want to keep, you know, participating and going back, was the wonderful women who were associated with pageants and who were trying to better themselves in that way. And so I loved it. And that was one of the things that I did love about it. And I'm so glad that we got to have an excuse. And we say that all the time. The reason we're doing the interviews is to have an excuse to get to hang out virtually with our friends.
You know, catch up with the girls.
Yes.
So you guys are going to love, I mean, this is just one of those fun episodes. Like we get to the Bible verse eventually, but the first 2/3 of the episode is it's pageant talk, and it is so fun. So y'all just sit back, relax, you know, go do a full face beat, go get a spray tan, pull your crowns out of the box in the closet, put them on, get a tiara, put a feather boa on, I don't know, and listen to this episode. You're going to love it. Here it is, our conversation with Miss America 2007, Lauren Nelson Faram. Okay, well, Lauren Nelson Faram.
Lauren Nelson Faram.
Okay, let's get it right. Miss America 2007.
Yes.
Welcome to Sisters with Swords.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
There she is.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to sing that, Miss America.
We're gonna actually need to put that in the intro, I think.
I don't think we can.
Well, no, no, you're right.
We'll have to pay royalties.
Yeah.
And
I feel like there's a thing about that. Yeah.
So we won't.
Yeah, no, we won't.
But
we're cheap.
And even me singing it in two separate sections right there, I think we're good. I think it won't get flagged on YouTube. But Lauren, we are so thrilled to have you today. And we're going to talk all the pageant things for sure. But just to tell our listeners, you were Miss Oklahoma the year that Janie was Miss Colorado. And you guys competed at Miss America together, and you won the Miss America pageant. And I was there, so I'm fangirling here a little bit because you're kind of an icon.
Absolutely.
And not kind of an icon, you are an icon.
Yes.
But so we're really going to get into the nitty gritty of all this today. But first we want to hear where you live now. What does your life look like? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, well, thanks so much. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this ever since you guys messaged me about it. So thanks for having me. So today I live in Houston, Texas, with my family, my husband Randy, and then our three kids, Mason, Dawson, and Tatum. We live in the north part of Houston. We both, my husband and I, are on staff at our church. We serve at our church, and our kids are, Mason is in sixth grade, so we're in the thick of middle school with him. And then we have 10-year-old Dawson and 7-year-old Tatum. So they take up a lot of our time, and we spend a whole lot of time at our church serving. So that's mostly what life looks like now.
Sure. And what do you guys do at your church? What capacity do you serve?
Yeah, my husband's the adult ministries pastor, so he oversees all of our adult ministries, Bible studies, weekday stuff, that kind of thing. And then I am our Next Steps director, so I oversee all of evangelism, new members, new guests, all of that kind of stuff. So
Wow. Okay. I don't think I realized that you and your husband were both in ministry. So that is so fun.
yeah.
Okay. So now that we got the update, you're in Houston, in ministry, beautiful family. We got to go back to the pageant days.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so I want to know what got you started in pageants? When did you start in pageants? How long did you compete? Like all of that good stuff. Were you in the child pageant scene at all? Like, how does that look? What did that look like for you in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I wasn't in the child pageant scene. I did my first pageant when I was 16. It was a fundraiser for a high school in my hometown of Lawton, Oklahoma, and some friends from church were going to do it. And they asked me if I would do it with them. And I remember taking the paperwork home to my mom and saying, you know, my friends want me to do this with them, but pageants are so weird. And so I don't know that I want to do this, but I love to sing. And so I thought this is an opportunity to sing and get to perform. And so I did it, and I got first runner up, and I really enjoyed the process, the competition aspect of it. And so that kind of started things for me. I kept doing them. I think the next pageant I did was another teen pageant, and I got first runner up. But then the next year I went back to Miss Teen Lawton and won that, and then I won Miss Teen Oklahoma, and I got to sing as Miss Teen Oklahoma on the Miss America stage in Atlantic City the last year that it was there.
Oh, we were there.
Really, in 2005?
Yeah,
Yes.
Deidre
Yeah.
We went to Atlantic City that year. Yeah.
Yes, so I got to sing. They were just starting the teen pageant, the national teen pageant.
Yeah.
And so I got chosen to go and sing on one of the prelim nights. And I thought, I remember walking off. I got to walk the long runway at the end of my talent, and I remember like telling my mom, this is what I want to do. Like I want to do this. And so at that point, I was a senior in high school, and so I decided like I'm gonna jump right into Miss Oklahoma pageants as soon as I'm a freshman. You know, as soon as I graduate and all of that. And so I won my local pageant in September of my freshman year of college. So that would have been 2005. Mm-hmm. And then I won Miss Oklahoma in June of 2006. And so
And that was
just
your first time competing for Miss Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oh my
So it was
goodness.
all really fast.
Yeah. Wow. And that's pretty unheard of. Like as far as in the pageant community, I know a lot of girls have to compete multiple years.
Yeah.
Even to make the top 5 at their state pageant. And Oklahoma is such a competitive state. So
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
You had what it took, girl.
Well, I just remembered saying to so Jennifer Berry, who was also in Miss Oklahoma, she was Miss America,
Yep.
who had won that year, and so it was that year that I was competing to be Miss Oklahoma. I remember saying to my local directors, I know people don't like states don't win 2 years in a row, but like I want to like if I'm going to do this, like let's do it like for real. I don't want to just halfway do it, and so. We just went for it, and I just loved Miss Oklahoma and the process of it. I loved the competition, just the level that you get to execute things and learn so much about yourself, and really gain skills that you wouldn't normally. I mean, like what 19-year-old kid, knows how to go to the gym and work out the right way. Like I didn't know how to do any of that, but because of pageants, like I learned that skill, or how to answer questions, how to stand up in front of somebody and eloquently speak.
I mean, that's so true. Like you would never actually go formally practice interviewing.
Right.
Like
never.
There would be no scenario where you would do that unless you were competing in a pageant.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So really it's like, it's experience that is just so valuable. Because you're right, Janie, most people, their first interview is their first interview for their first real job, and so this was just, I loved every aspect of it. And I loved the people that I got to be doing it with. They were, the Miss Oklahoma folks were just dear, dear friends still. So.
Well,
and that was so, it really was like so great being there, because it was the first time in history when two states won back to back. Was Jennifer Berry, who is also one of my favorite Miss Oklahomas, and she competed like 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like
I think she won on her
year.
fifth try.
It was like her last year of eligibility that I think at the time that she won, or something close to that, and so it was the very first time that two states won back to back. And then I think sometime in the 2010s, didn't New York win like?
They did 3 in a row. They got a three-peat.
Yeah. So
crazy.
They won quite a bit.
Yeah, that's wild. And the year that Jennifer won, we were there also. So our first time to go to Miss America was in Atlantic City when Deirdre
Downs,
Deidre Downs
won. And then we went the next year. The first time it was in Vegas when Jennifer won, and because Janie was first runner up at Miss Colorado that year, and so we were just invested. And when I say we, I need you to know, I was married at the time and had a baby or two, but I was competing also.
You lived every bit of that life.
I was with her every step of the way. Like
I get it.
I was in. Okay. And so we went, and the year that Jennifer won, I mean, it was so clear that she was the winner. And we remember like, if they don't put the crown on her head, it's highway robbery. And, sure enough, there it was. And then the next year we came back with Janie competing. So now we want to hear and I want to hear this from both of you. I want to swap stories here.
Okay.
How was competing at Miss America, being there? Because the year that you guys competed for Miss America, they were doing a bunch of like extra things, like a show, pageant camp or school or whatever on CMT.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you had all of this different stuff. Like you were out in Vegas for premieres and for events and all the, like there was just a lot.
There was a lot.
It was not like a rebrand, but it was like they were trying to branch out from what they were usually doing. And especially with the pageant being moved to Vegas, everything felt so different, and they were just trying a lot of new stuff. So I want to know, what was your experience with competing, with all of the extra stuff that you guys got to do? I want to hear all that.
Janie, do you remember going to LA for pageant school?
Oh yeah.
That was like, I think I forgot a little bit about that, but that was the most bizarre thing. It was so crazy.
It was so crazy, and nobody really knew what was going on or what we were supposed to do. So we're kind of like, whatever, free trip to LA. Like, let's have a good time. Like, nobody really knew what was like, one of the craziest things, Lauren, I forgot about this until I was like, oh yeah, when I was thinking about like stories, do you remember we had that like line dancing something competition or something like that? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I won that. I don't know if you remember.
Gosh.
And I'm like,
she's a horrible dancer.
Not a dancer.
Ditto.
In
So
any
me
way,
too.
shape, or form. Number two, like, do you remember Bethleen Pankos? Like, best tap dancer of all time, Miss New York. Like, I mean, we had the most skilled, like, Juilliard, ballerinas, whatever. And I'm like, this is stupid.
Do you remember?
I'm here to say first and foremost, me winning a dancing competition means y'all did all of this wrong.
Right.
Do you remember having to pick a decade and we had to wear the swimsuits from that decade? I think mine was like it wasn't the 20s, but it was somewhere around there.
We were the 40s.
Were we together in that?
No.
On that? No, we
I
weren't.
think you
We
were.
weren't.
No, you were. Were you maybe
I was
the
with
30s?
Callie.
Y'all were the 30s.
Yeah, we were. I just remember like, what are we doing? Like, this is so crazy.
Well, and what's so crazy is like they had this runway and we had to come out in these like swimsuits of the decades and like put like some type
It
of
was crazy.
skit-ish together that had to do with it, but you couldn't say anything or make any sounds. Do you remember that?
It was like a silent movie.
Pantomime.
And so then, pretty much.
But also, what does this have to do with the pageant? Like,
literally
nothing.
No, you were just creating a television show for CMT.
It was a great experience. We got a trip to LA, and we got to do a lot.
Fun.
We got to know each other. That was the benefit. I think that was the benefit. We went into Vegas having been with each other and gotten to know each other, and that was awesome.
Yeah, because between going to Orlando for the team pageant, and then did you go to the Vegas premiere of Rocky Balboa?
No, I didn't do that one. I can't remember. I don't think so.
I don't think you did that one either.
I don't think I did.
It's the photos of Janie with Sylvester Stallone and Carrot Top.
I remember seeing those photos.
Carrot Top was scary. Scared.
He's been through some stuff. He's got a testimony.
He's lived life.
Testimony.
He does have a testimony. Is he even still alive?
He is still alive. He is still alive.
I wasn't sure if we should say R.I.P.
No,
Carrot Top.
no, not
if
yet.
He is alive. It's by the grace of God.
Yeah.
He needs to give his life to Christ.
Yeah.
Amen. Because that dude, I don't know if you remember, the people don't even know who Carrot Top is. Like, why would you? But like, he used to be like, literally like this skinny, stick thin little comedian thing. And when we showed it, he was roided out. I mean, he looked like a bodybuilder. I was like,
It's scary. Veins bulging everywhere.
But it was, and again, like, why are we even here?
Right.
Doesn't make sense, but we're having fun.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the week of Miss America pageant week. Lauren, do you have any memories, like any crazy things that happened to you that week, or anything that you can recall? Because I know Janie does.
Was Callie your roommate at Miss America too?
He wasn't. Miss Idaho, Catherine was.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yep, she was. And it's funny because, so I'm really into college football and cheer for OU. And right before, so we found out who our roommates were, and I knew I was with Catherine. And right before that, OU played Boise State in a really big game, and we lost, and we weren't supposed to lose. And I remember she texted me that night and was like, razzing me about the game. And then when I got to our room in Vegas, she had a Boise State shirt on my pillow for me.
That's so funny.
That's amazing.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. That was so fun.
Yeah.
But there were so many crazy things. I mean, I just think about like so Miss Oklahoma week is full of, I mean, like the rehearsals are tight and busy, and we're always doing things. And I remember getting to Miss America and taking a nap on the floor in between the seats in the auditorium
and take naps on the floor. Yes,
we would bring our pillows and robes from the room and take naps. And I remember thinking, this is not what it's like at Miss Oklahoma, because it's so hectic. It was so hectic during that week, and we had time to nap. And I remember thinking, this is awesome, but also I'm napping on the floor where people's feet usually are, and that's gross.
Right.
But other than that, it was great. But I do remember like bits and pieces. It's funny to think about it now. All of the, like, as you think about those different events that you did, like I'm missing things in my mind, like it's been 20 years almost.
Oh,
yeah.
It's been 20 years.
Anniversary of us. Oh, okay. So you're going to Miss America this year? Maybe we should go.
I would love to go to Miss America this year.
Okay.
I'm for sure going to Miss Oklahoma, but I don't know. I'm hoping that I can swing it with school and all of that stuff to go back to Miss America.
Okay. Well, when have they announced when it is yet? They usually don't at this point.
No, I don't think so. Not till summer usually.
Okay, well, when they announce it, we need to get together.
And I'm coming too. Just letting you girls know. Okay, good.
I'll probably try and tan before then.
And get your roots done. Although your roots look good right now.
Yes, I did just get that done. Okay, but I do think we probably need to fill in a question mark for people. And that is, why would you not just go to your room and nap? Like, why are you sleeping on the floor in the theater? Because this was at the Planet Hollywood. Like, it's attached to the hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you why. You can't go to the bathroom without security. Am I right?
Yeah, no, we're sequestered pretty much
you
all the time.
can't leave your room. Like when you're in your room, you can't leave your room unless you have a security escort.
Right.
And you have a reason to.
Well, and that tracks because you broke your shoes for swimsuit competition.
Yeah, my swimsuit shoes.
And
broke.
and she couldn't, and Planet Hollywood is also like a mall. There's like shops there.
It's a great mall.
And she couldn't go get, I had to go get new shoes for her for swimsuit competition because hers had broken. And then even getting the shoes to you was like White House security trying to.
And like literally, it's like, I don't know, Secret Service, FBI, whatever. Like Miss Congeniality. Like there's literal like FBI, Secret Service, whatever. Like,
for sure.
I don't know. Maybe these days I feel like that probably also tracks a little bit more. But I'm like, in 2007, who was trying to do what to the pageant girls?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And then Lauren, Janie also sliced off the end of her finger.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
With what? How? Why?
A razor.
Oh,
and had to.
You know how you had to pack up all of your stuff before finals?
Yes.
Okay, so, and remember, like, you don't show up to Miss America with a suitcase.
No.
Okay?
No.
You show up with
two
like
full 50-pound suitcases at least.
plus all of the other things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've got to pack it up the morning before you go with your security and everything to nap on the floor.
And you're there all day long, just hanging out.
And so you got to pack up and all that. So I'm doing my thing, packing up, and one of the publicist lady calls our room and says, "Hey Janie, I just got a last minute interview request for you. Can you do a radio interview right now?" And it's no, I can't. I don't have time. You got to be out the door at the certain time. You got to pack up all this stuff. But I was like, okay, I guess. And it was with 93.3, big radio station in Denver. And at the time, The Fray was really coming out.
Yes.
And
we had gone to high school with them.
So
we went to high school
cool.
with the band The Fray.
And so I'm kind of like 93.3. It's like, indie rock station. And I'm like, 93.3 wants to interview Miss Colorado. That's interesting. So I get on the phone and they want to spend like 15, 20 minutes talking to me about The Fray. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't have time.
I should be packing up my suitcase right now.
If you want to talk about me or the pageant or the Miss America organization, that's fine. But I don't want to talk about Isaac Slade.
Right. We're not.
And what he was like in high school.
Right.
And Ben Wysocki.
Right.
So, this is not.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so I was.
Pick your moment. Come on.
Right.
So I'm really pressed for time. So now I'm just throwing all my toiletries in my bag. And so I stick my hand down in my toiletries bag to zip it. And when I pull it out, I slice off the end of my thumb. And, Blair Pancake, Miss Tennessee, was my roommate. And she, and so she's like, let me get a towel. I mean, it's bleeding so bad. So much blood. I can't even tell you how much blood. Because fingers just in general bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she grabs a towel, we put it over it, and it's just like, you try to keep everything together all the time. Like nothing's, I try to be emotional about anything, right? And so she's like, okay, what do you think we should do? Well, it's bleeding a lot. Does it hurt? Yep, it hurts pretty bad. I'm trying not to cry. Hurts really bad. So I'm like, it's going to be okay. Whatever. And then I looked at her and I went, oh, my talent is piano. And she goes, I'm going to call the hostess. And so she gets on the phone. And now security's taking me to the ER and stuff like that. And it was
I had no idea you went to the ER the day of Miss America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Just, it
gosh.
was crazy stuff like that. Just like one thing after the other. But I will say, okay, so Lauren, I have a story. So I will
Okay.
say this. So Bradley and I were there, obviously, the week of Miss America. Well,
Yeah.
Bradley, my husband, he got press credentials through our church's television program.
Okay.
So Bradley was technically part of the press corps that week.
Nice.
And he got to sit up in the front all week long as part of the press corps.
That's amazing.
And he had brought his, like, he had a very nice camera. He was into photography at the time.
Yeah.
And so we have, like, all of our own professional, like, photos of Janie and everything.
Yeah.
And obviously my husband is, like, you know, a musician or whatever. And after preliminary, I don't know if it was preliminary talent. I think it was preliminary talent. After you sang, Bradley, we were all hanging out, and Bradley goes, Miss Oklahoma just won it. She's going to win.
That's so kind.
And
That's so kind.
I mean, he just knew. He goes, she's got it. She's going to win the whole thing.
Would you like to know what she sang?
I can't remember what she's saying.
She sang "You'll Be in My Heart," Phil Collins.
Oh,
Am I
well,
right?
that'll do it for Bradley and I every time.
Tarzan the musical had just come out that year, and just right before, like while we were trying to figure out my talent song, it had come out, and I remember my voice teacher was like, "I think we need to do a version of this song," and it was just so great. I love it so much.
Well, and let me ask, are you singing at church now? Like, are you still involved in that? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm on our worship team. I sing a few times a month on the weekends and things like that.
Okay,
So,
good. You should be, because you're incredible. But
Well,
but
thanks.
my little husband in the press corps, quote unquote, I put
love it.
air quotes. After you sang Phil Collins, of course it was Phil Collins.
Of course.
He was like, she just won it. She won it.
But-
And we were like, okay, yes. But it was, I mean, we had so much fun doing all those pageants together, me and Janie, and I say together, but I was stage sister.
What I want to know is, do you remember any like question in your interview that you thought was weird or annoying or like threw you for a loop? And then I've got my own answer.
My very first question was from Nigel Barker.
Was Delta in your interviews?
No,
She wasn't in mine either.
no. Delta wasn't in mine.
like halfway through my
Yes.
groups. My
I
group.
was like at the end of my group. My very first question was from Nigel Barker, and he asked if you could be any Disney princess, which princess would you be? Which, I mean, if you're thinking about pageant questions, it feels like that sounds like a pageant question. It's like, what salad topping would you be? You know what I mean? Like, it's so cliche. And I remember thinking like, wow, that's the first question in the Miss America interview. All right, like, okay. And that caught me off guard.
And also, if you will remember, this was at the height of America's Next Top Model.
Yes.
And Nigel Barker was hot.
Yeah, no, he was a fine looking man.
And so it was like, oh, Nigel.
Oh yeah,
Hi, Nigel.
Oh, Nigel.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He was a
Yeah.
fine looking man.
So what did you say? Do you even remember?
I said I would be Snow White because who wouldn't want 7 men walking around, following them around, doing what you ask them to do?
Yes, that's exactly right.
And that's when she won it, ladies and gentlemen. That's when they said, put
But
the
I
crown
don't know
on
where
her
I
head.
came up with that because I hadn't even thought about that
Right,
question
no,
ever.
because you have to understand, like, in interview prep, like, you're prepping for very, very difficult questions. And I don't know what it's like now, what the rules are now, but our interviews were either 10 or 12 minutes long, right around that. And so the goal is to get them to ask you as many questions as you can during the 10 or 12 minutes. Because they can get a better sense of you. And when you're, interviewing and doing prep for this, like, nobody's asking you these types of that type of a question in your interview prep, because
No.
it's like you're going to get real questions. That's not a real question.
Yes,
And so then
popcorn.
the first thing you get is what type of princess?
Okay, so what was yours? What was your crazy question that you remember?
Okay, so my very first question, gosh, I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was from Debbie, what's her name? The dancer. What was her name?
Debbie Allen.
Debbie Allen, yes. she asked me, if you'll remember, like this is when Hillary Clinton was gearing up for her first like presidential run. So this was in January of 2007. So she, either had, I don't know if she had formally announced her candidacy, but everybody was like, Hillary's going to run in 2008. And so the first question I got asked was, since we have maybe our first female president, in Hillary Clinton, if we have a female president who is the commander in chief of the military, do you think that women should then be required to enlist in the military at the age of 18? And I remember
right out the gate.
Right out the gate. That was my first question. And I remember going, I have prepared for a lot of questions, and that was not one of them.
Right.
And
Wow.
so that one was one. And I said, I basically just said, no, I don't think they should. I don't think we should require women to.
Yeah.
I said, I think it's great that women are in the military, but I think it's, important that we have a strong military that continues to be mostly of the male persuasion.
Yeah.
So that was that. But then my other one that I got, and do you remember we had Michael Feinstein was one of the judges, and by the way, you basically have to pick and turn into Miss America all of your decisions on things pretty early on, and then they announce the judges maybe a few days or maybe a week before you leave to go to Miss America. And so they do that on purpose because they're trying to get you to not tailor anything that you're doing to a judge. But Michael Feinstein was officially the official cataloger of George Gershwin's music. So, here in the US of A, we don't have a lot of real serious, classical composers.
Right.
We don't got a Bach or a Beethoven or none of that.
Right.
So we've got George Gershwin.
Yes.
Like, this is our guy, as American. And so Michael Feinstein was like his official cataloger, like for the government. And I was playing Rhapsody in Blue. And so, which is a very long piece. It's certainly not the 2 minutes and 30 seconds that we had to do our talent. And so I remember Chris Matthews asking me, somebody said something like, okay, so tell us again what you're going to be playing for your talent. And so, I told him, I'm playing a medley of Grieg's Piano Concerto and Rhapsody in Blue. And Chris Matthews, who's such a just jerk in general, but he goes, oh, so you picked only the easy parts? That's what he asked me. And I went, well, you could probably, talk to your colleague here, Mr. Feinstein, who could very well tell you that to his knowledge and to my knowledge, there are no easy parts in either of these pieces. But I was like, what a jerk.
Oh,
What a jerk.
that's tough. I remember being scared when I heard that Chris Matthews was on the panel. I remember
for
thinking,
sure.
oh,
I was
gosh.
like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank
his show at the time was called Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Yes.
And his
Yes.
entire shtick on MSNBC was, I'm going to be a jerk asking people questions by being a jerk. And that was the guy who's going to interview you for 12 minutes.
Okay, well, we do have to pivot to this Bible verse.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. That's why we're here. Forgot.
I do want to keep. I could sit here and just listen to y'all talk about Miss America all day long, and we'll still talk about it. But the verse, Lauren, that this conversation is correlating with is charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord to be praised. And of course, we're like, well, let's get a Miss America on here for this. It was so perfect. And we obviously, Janie knew you through competing at Miss America, and we know about your faith and your commitment to the Lord. And so it's still along the lines of Miss America, but I want to know, like, when that Miss America crown was placed on your head and now you are enlisted in a year of service, and the crown on your head is what is getting you into rooms, opportunities, places of influence. And you are representing Miss America, the organization. You have the title of Miss America. But before you have the title of Miss America, you have the title of believer, of, daughter of the King, of Christian. And so I want to know, how did you carry your beliefs in Christ into your year of service in Miss America? And was there ever any tension between the two of, I'm a Christian, but I'm also Miss America? Did those go hand in hand pretty easily? Or did you at times feel tension of, the struggle there between the beauty pageant queen and believer?
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't a believer when I was Miss America.
You weren't?
No, I didn't come to faith in Christ until after I finished being Miss America. So I grew up in church and was, my parents had me and my brother and sister in church just about every Wednesday and every Sunday. My parents were active and involved, but I was the kid, in the parables where Jesus says, if you have ears to hear, let them hear. I was the kid that did not have ears to hear. And so I would time, even in high school, I would time bathroom breaks as soon as the sermon would start. That was me. And I know that I grew up in a church that preached the gospel, that very clearly taught the truth of Scripture, that the correlation between my sin, what Jesus had to do on the cross, and my need for a Savior, it just never clicked for me. And so I started pageants, I went to college, and if you would have asked me if I was a believer, I would have said yes.
Okay.
Because I thought, I would go to church, I know a little bit about God's word, I would try to be nice, I try to be a good person. And so, check, like I'm a believer. And so, you fast forward and I, get this, God saw fit to include in my story, Miss Oklahoma and then Miss America. And I remember holding hands with Shyla Phillips at the end.
Yes.
And I had literally made this a dream. I wanted this so badly. And I remember holding hands with Shyla and thinking and praying, God, let me be first runner-up. I was so scared.
Mm-hmm.
I had just turned 20 years old. I was a kid. I had I didn't know what I was about to get myself into. And so for the first couple of weeks of being Miss America, so the next day, you repack your bags to fit into the two 50-pound suitcases, with the things that you're going to need for all the climates and all of the different locations.
Right.
And then I signed paperwork and said goodbye to my family, not knowing when I would see them again, and flew from Vegas to New York City and started a media tour for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I had no base of reference for what I was getting into. And so I was just completely overwhelmed and holy smokes, what just happened, And I remember there were a lot of things going on, after a couple of weeks, I loved it. I fell right into it and just loved every part of it. And really was living my dream. The thing that I wanted had happened and everything on the outside looked perfect. But when I would go back to my own hotel room at night, all by myself, and I was with myself, I would say that was probably one of the darkest, loneliest times of my life.
Wow.
Because though everything looked literally picture perfect on the outside, living the dream.
Yeah.
I was relying on that, on a relationship that was super unhealthy, on this title, this accolade, this worldly thing. I was relying on what people said about me. Do you remember, Janie, the Voy boards?
Yes.
I would get on there and see what did they think about this outfit, or what did they think about this appearance?
The Voy boards were the worst thing. I remember literally one photo of me, because I won, again, also very stupid. I won the swimsuit award at my pageant that year. Things I shouldn't have won. Swimsuit and whatever this line dancing thing was. But I remember in that going on there and seeing that photo being posted in the comments, and I was called, a bad role model because I was anorexic and clearly, had an eating disorder or whatever, and then also called fat. So
from the same photo.
Same photo.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. Yeah. And yes,
it really was.
And at the same time, I was on them all the time. Like, what was wrong with me?
I would check it every day. But like those were the things that I was relying on to be, I don't know, my identity.
Yes.
To be my what filled me up, what satisfied me, my sufficiency. And so when you put it into that context, though I was living the dream of being Miss America, spiritually, emotionally, even mentally, it was a hard time. And so that year, it was also the centennial for the state of Oklahoma. So I got to go back to Oklahoma quite a bit and do big events for that. And one of the times that I went back, we had a week off at Easter. And so I went back and I was home for a week. And during that time, Robin Marsh, she's a news anchor in Oklahoma City, and she was given the assignment to do a special of famous Oklahomans and their moms. And she knew that I was home, and so she set up a time to come to Lawton and interview my mom and I for that special. And she's actually from Lawton as well, where I grew up. And we just kind of stayed connected. We exchanged phone numbers, and I did a couple of things with her throughout the year. So fast forward to the end of my year, I crowned Kirsten as the next Miss America, and I was still in that relationship. And I walk off the stage. I placed the crown on Kristen's head. I walk off the stage. And my hairdresser was there. He chopped my long hair off because I was like, we're making a change. So I chopped my hair off, and I
totally remember this. It looked so cute.
I didn't tell anybody. My parents walked past me in the hallway of the Planet Hollywood afterwards because I didn't tell anybody. I did that. My boyfriend and I broke up that night. I moved back to Lawton. All this stuff happened. And so I get to the Vegas airport to fly back to Oklahoma, and Robin Marsh is in the airport. And she's on the same flight, flying with me from Vegas to Oklahoma City. And we reconnected, and it turns out I was moving back. My apartment was 2 miles from her house in Edmond, and she and I connected, and she's a beautiful believer. She invited me to start coming to church with her. And she invited me to go grab coffee, and she invited me to start walking with her. We would walk every day, and she invited me to do a Bible study in her home. I'd never done a formal Bible study. The first one we did was Beth Moore's Daniel. If you've never done a Bible study, to jump in with that one,
that's the deep end.
Yeah.
That is the deep end.
I remember thinking, I don't know what this means. It was a lot. But anyway, through that relationship, I really saw a woman who, she'd lived a lot of life and had heartbreaks and high mountaintops and low valleys, and she lived this relationship with God. And I looked at her life and I thought, I don't have what she has.
Right.
And during that time, I met my now husband, Randy, and he was the youth associate at the church that Robin went to. We met on my first Sunday there during the meet and greet time. And we started dating a few months after that. And I remember dating him and thinking, I don't have what he has. He honored me and my purity in that relationship. He lived this relationship. That relationship with Christ infiltrated every area of his life. And so there were these two people in my life that I look at their lives and I think, I don't have what they have. And July 4th of 2008, I was asked to sing at an event in my hometown. And I remember telling my mom, I really don't want to go do this because I wanted to, go pop fireworks and just be a normal, 21-year-old girl. And my mom said, you need to do this. And so I did. And a pastor was there, and he gave an invitation at the end of the event. And I remember sitting in my lawn chair in 100 and whatever degree heat in Oklahoma in July. And it was like God was just knocking on the door of my heart. Are you going to stay seated, or are you going to get up and walk towards me? What are you going to do with this moment? And so that day I got up and I made this public profession of faith. And I really did dive in head first into church girl life. I was leading worship. I was leading a 10th grade girls Bible study. I was in it. But the problem for me was that I didn't understand how God could forgive some of the mistakes that I had made over the years. That shame and guilt really was just a cloud over my life. And I remember feeling God, if I can't forget this, how could you ever get past it, and I just hadn't really accepted the forgiveness that Jesus offers with what he did on the cross for us. And we had a guest preacher in October of 2011. That's when it was, 2011. And he preached on the wheat and the tares, the parable of the wheat and the tares.
Yeah.
And at the end, he asked, if you're a tare, I want you to stand up. And the whole message, my heart was just beating out of my chest. And God was pressing on that part of my heart to say, you haven't surrendered. Like, you haven't accepted the forgiveness. You haven't surrendered your life to me. This is the moment. And so that was the day that I surrendered my life fully and was saved and gave my life to Christ. And from that moment on, I remember moving back to my parents' house for a couple of weeks before I moved to Edmond, and laying on the bed that I slept in growing up and literally thinking in my mind, what is my purpose now? I'm 21 and I've peaked. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Literally, like, what am I going to do now? Like, where do I go from here? It
really is such a thing. I mean, even as Miss Colorado, it is a thing that nobody really talks about. You place the crown on the next girl's head, and it's like, get out of here.
Oh, I remember Vegas when I won, and then all of a sudden my parents couldn't even get to me because of security around.
Yes.
But as soon as I placed the crown on Kirsten's head, I was pushed off that stage so fast. Your life changes.
Lauren, is it Laura?
What's your
Lauren?
Yeah. No, they were great. They were still amazing.
But
it's a big shift.
It is. It's immediately, who are you? It's the next. Yeah. And
the thing that was so great, though, that I can recognize now is, where I once felt, that purposelessness, now on this side of knowing Christ, like, there is purpose. And it's so much more than Miss America or me as a person or anything that I can do. Like, the purpose is his glory and bringing others to Jesus. Like, that's the purpose of my life. And so even in times now where, like, even as a mom, you're just like, oh my gosh, the laundry, making lunches, like, it's like the monotony sometimes of the everyday. And I have to remind myself, there's purpose in this because God is in this, and he's placed in here, and there's glory to be given to him even in the mundane things that I do even today. So
my follow-up question to that then is, do you ever go do the school drop-off or the grocery store and you're just in the sweats and no hair and makeup, and someone's like, hey, this is Lauren, Miss America. And you're like, no, we didn't have to do that right now.
No. Well, here's the thing. If we still lived in Oklahoma, that might happen. But in Texas and Houston, no way. Like,
yeah. Did you know Blair Pancake lives in Houston too?
I do. I know that. I see her on my commercials on TV.
Yes. Yes. Talking so fast. Yeah.
I know.
She can talk so fast on the car commercials.
And Janie introduced Blair to her husband way back in the day.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
So remember the day that the roommate list came out?
Okay.
It was that day, or maybe it was the day before. Is we found out who our roommates were, and my friend, who is her husband, his name is Wade Cole. Our parents were very good friends for forever, and had connected us, all the kids. And so Wade and I had connected and would text back and forth here and there as friends. By the way, just want to clarify that for everybody. Anyways, he played for the University of Houston and played football. And that year they were in a bowl game, and it was at the Liberty Bowl. And Miss Tennessee, who was Blair Pancake, was singing the national anthem. And I mean, literally that morning we found out that we were roommates. And so I hadn't even texted her yet or anything like that. And so he goes, hey, Miss Tennessee is singing the national anthem. Do you know her? And I said, yes. I said, in fact, you should tell her, like, hey, Janie is trying to text you because, she wants to know who wants to bring the humidifier. Remember that was a thing? We'd bring humidifiers. Who's bringing the humidifier to the hotel room or something like that. And so, as soon as he went up and said this thing to her, she was like, "What?" And then they
connected, and then now they're married.
And he came, the next month to Miss America.
He was there.
And,
for her, for you,
no, for her.
That's amazing.
And now they're married.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Well, I mean, I had a question, Lauren, but I feel like you kind of already answered it. And talking about our scripture here, where for at least a year or 2 or 3 of your life, there was so much emphasis placed on your outward appearance, your beauty, what you looked like, obviously being a pageant girl. And now with the perspective of 20 years, and you're obviously still as gorgeous as ever, if not more beautiful, and Janie as well. So your beauty has not been fleeting, I do want to say.
Praise the Lord.
I gotta redo the Botox though,
Oh yeah, get it in there, Janie. But the whole point of this is a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. There's so much emphasis placed on, especially women, how we look, our outward appearance. And I think maybe even more so the older we get, because we're supposed to preserve our beauty as much as possible.
It's sure more expensive.
And it does get more expensive the older you get. But the point is, it is going to pass and it is going to fade, and you are going to have to take that crown off of your head and put it on somebody else's head. And so, but you shared with us, finding the Lord after that, and him changing and reshaping your identity. But what does that look like for you now? As far as what is it like to fear the Lord, when you still do have this title of Miss America 27, that's going to be with you, or 2007. That's going to be with you wherever you go. It's going to follow you for the rest of your life. But how do you shift the focus from, yes, I am this beauty pageant queen too, but man, I got to fear the Lord. What has that been like for you?
I think there is an infatuation, and I don't think it's a new thing with youth. I think, you read stories and, ancient stories about Fountain of Youth and all of these things. This isn't new. It's like what Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes, nothing new under this. There's nothing new under the sun. Right. And this is nothing new for us. It's just that we are so much smarter and we have technology to make things easier to preserve youth. As far as how the pressure or, how I handle it, I still like getting dressed up and taking care of myself and all of those things. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with it. I think my perspective has shifted to not wanting the attention. There was a time in my life where it was important, right, that people knew who I was, or I wanted them to know who I was, or where the attention was on me, and I liked that, right? But the perspective for me has shifted, that I want the attention to be on God and not on me. And so when I think about fearing the Lord, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, right? And so as I fear him, and that's not a cowering kind of fear, but as I revere him and honor him and respect him in my life, I think the natural consequence of that is that the glory would be given to him and not to me. Right. And I think that's the desire of my heart, that there wouldn't be the attention on me or anything that I could produce, but the glory would be given to God. And I think if I'm fearing God the way that I should be in my life, then that'll be the fruit of that.
Wow. This is how you've had interview training as a pageant girl, because it's such well-rounded, succinct, but great answer. And you've interviewed before, Lauren, and I can tell. And I just want to say you've got really great interview skills.
Well, thanks.
But this has been so much fun for me, just listening to you two talk. And our time is up, but we're so grateful for you, Lauren. And so glad we got to sit here and chat with you and catch up. And I've just me being a fly on the wall with you two, because I've been invested for such a long time. I can't even tell you. I just have never been able to live out my pageant dreams. And Janie keeps telling me I need to do Mrs. Texas.
You should.
No. These ladies, Lauren, you know, these Mrs. ladies are on another level.
I could never go back. I could never go back.
Oh, no.
Those ladies are like eye of the tiger, and I don't have it in me. But I appreciate the women who do. But Lauren, we're so grateful and thankful for your time. And this has just been so much fun.
It's been so sweet, so fun. I love getting to catch up and reminisce. Like, there are things that I don't even, that I've forgotten about that happened. And so it's been sweet to do that too.
This has been great. Well, we love you so much, and thank you so much. And we love you, sisters. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Sisters with Swords is produced and edited by Holly Knight. Original music by the Minister of Funk and Husband of the Year, Bradley Knight. Artwork by Holly Knight. And dinner tonight will also be provided by Holly Knight. Please subscribe and share this podcast with your friends, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Sisters with Swords. We're cheering you on, sister. Go wield your sword.